African lions that were born here at the zoo. What do you feed them?
They get a commercially prepared zoo diet.
Yep.
And as well,
A lot of meat, I assume.
Yeah, bones and different things that they get.
How often are they fed through the day?
We feed them twice a day.
And something that we talked about too is that, earlier this year here in Georgia, we had snow. It was very cold here. As you know, in Georgia, we basically get all kinds of weather. So are lions pretty adaptable to that?
Yeah, lions are very hardy. We don't put them out here when it gets really, really cold, but they don't mind being it when it's a little chilly.
Yeah, that's so interesting because we never think about lions in the snow. Well, Ken Harwood, it has been amazing to be here and to get to see the lions and to get to see them like we never have before. Thanks for letting us be here.
Thanks for coming out.
It's great to see you. Okay, so I'm going to leave you here, and then let's go walk back down to the lowest viewing point just so you get a real vantage point of all three. So again, this is the upper deck where you get to not only see them, but you get to hear them really well. And then this is the middle viewing spot right here. And the middle viewing spot, of course, is where you're looking straight in through what used to be a rock wall, but now it's glass. And when they're laying right there, you do not get any closer. I mean, they are right there and they are loving every single minute of it. And then there's one more lower viewing spot. And actually, it's right now still under a little bit of work, but we're going to go around and show it to you. You go down the stairs here, and I'll tell you, when they come in and out here, you get the best views. And we got some video of that earlier this morning of them walking right by this window, and they were loving it. And then you look right in, and there they are, laying right there. So this is the lowest of the three new viewing spots for the African lions here at Zoo Atlanta. Come say hello, and maybe you'll get a roar in response.
Well, welcome in. I'm Ariel Onstadt. Thank you so much for streaming with me on your Sunday morning. It is great to have you here. We've got a lot of news to take you through, and one of the first stories we're tracking for your morning is a grocery store shooting in DeKalb County. Our Lindsay Tuman has been following the latest on this, so we want to bring her in. Lindsay, I can only imagine two bystanders shot who were actually just employees in all of this.
Ariel, such a concerning situation, especially when you think about when this happened at 11:30 in the morning on a Saturday in the middle of a grocery store. DeKalb County Police were called out to that Ingalls on Rockbridge Road in response to a shooting. They say that this initially started between two employees who were in some kind of altercation with each other. A third person then joined in, and that's when two of those people began shooting weapons inside the store. The gunfire hit two employees who were bystanders to this. Those employees said to be in their 60s. Both of them had to be taken to the hospital to be treated. At the time when they were taken, they were alert and conscious, though police say their injuries were serious. Now, at this time, DeKalb County Police have announced the arrest of one person in connection to this case. They say 47-year-old Quincy Mitchell is facing charges for aggravated assault and possession of a firearm. It's unclear what exactly sparked the argument that started this gunfire, though people who had loved ones inside the store call this entire situation very traumatic.
I heard that the produce manager got hit in the chest. My fiance applied chest compression with her hoodie. The lady who worked in a deli, I heard she got shot in the hand.
Just innocent bystanders with these injuries. Again, we don't have a current condition on them at the time. They were conscious, and we are working to get at how they're doing now this morning. In terms of the investigation, again, one person arrested. There's no word if anybody else will face any charges in this case or if police are searching for another suspect. They do say the case remains under investigation, so there are certainly still more details to come, and we'll continue to update you as we get those answers. Ariel?
Lindsay, thank you so much for following up on this for us. Definitely sending my thoughts and well wishes to those bystanders who got caught up in all of this. Thanks, Lindsay. Yeah. We'll bring you back over here. We are streaming, of course, right here on Fox Local, and we love having you with us. We also have some of you joining us from YouTube, so if you're coming in via the YouTube stream, great to have you here. You can drop in your comments and chat with us. I know Angelo says it's a beautiful day in Marietta. Doors and windows are open. So, Angelo, I am glad you are enjoying this lovely weather. We're going to check in with Alex Forbes in just a little bit to get the lowdown on what it's going to look like for the rest of the day and the week ahead. But first, we do want to take you out to get a look outside at Inman Park Festival. Our very own Caitlin Pratt has been out there giving us a look. Should we bring her in now? Caitlin, I'm excited for this. What's happening? I know it's still early. Festival hasn't started quite yet, perhaps, or just getting underway, but what are you seeing?
Hey, Ariel, good morning to you. Yes, just parked the car and starting to get a good look at the sights and hearing the sounds here in one of Atlanta's oldest neighborhoods here. You can see some of the shops here starting just to open up. Some people here in the area starting to arrive. So much to do today, and the weather, oh man, you couldn't ask for a better day, Ariel. Of course, the Inman Park Spring Festival takes place each and every year here. One of the most scenic neighborhoods, I think, here in the Atlanta area. It began back in the 1970s. Ooh, these are cute. And has been going strong ever since. So maybe shopping's not your thing. Maybe eating is, kind of like me. So many things for you to try and taste. And it's a really expansive area, Ariel, that's for sure. And I know both of us always like to talk about our new puppies. How about some all-natural dog treats? Yes, please. Just one of the booths here. Now this officially starts in about an hour's time. I'm just gonna walk a little bit, let you take in the sights and the sounds of the area waking up this morning.
Caitlin, I'm loving watching everyone get set up. You can tell they're ready for that 11 a.m. start time for the gates to open. It is looking great. One of the things I love
And they do have shuttles, Ariel.
Oh yeah, they
Go ahead,
do.
go ahead.
One of the things I was just thinking about, Caitlin, I love this festival because of the tour of homes. I feel like not every festival has that aspect where you get to see some really, really creative homes that were, you know, oh yeah, say less, right?
Yes,
Speak of it.
exactly. Yes, yep. Yes, some of the most scenic and just elaborate homes here in the metro area. They're really historic, that's for sure. And I remember I used to live near here, Ariel, and I would just take walks. So fun, and there's just so much to look at. I mean, gorgeous, gorgeous neighborhood here, and always such a popular event this time of year, kind of like marks the start of spring.
It really does. I think one of the things I love about this festival is not only does it have the parade, the tour of homes, but when you go to their website, they have so many vendors. They actually have it organized on their website by like wood, mixed media, jewelry, fine art, just to help you keep it all straight because of how large it is. I was actually looking through a little bit ago, Caitlin, because I was like, what kind of vendors do they have? And they have them all listed out.
I know. Do you need some artwork for your house?
I'm really
right here for
enjoying
you.
this. I may need to go back
Maybe
for
you
some of those
have
dog
some
treats.
birds.
Those are gorgeous.
Maybe you're a bird watcher. Do I know that about you? Are you a bird watcher, Ariel?
I'm going to confess right now and tell you I have been known to watch the occasional cardinal, bluebird, woodpecker. I come by it honestly. My grandfather was an avid bird watcher. That's just beautiful.
Oh, I love that.
Caitlin, I'm loving you just giving us a look at all of this. I feel like this is a great way to start a Sunday morning. It's so peaceful.
Just get a little bird chirping in the background and we're good to go.
Yeah. And it looks like some vendors are, you know, already open and tidying up, pretty much getting to that point of saying, hey, come on in, and others are still working it out. But Caitlin, I do know this festival today, Friday and Saturday went till 4 p.m., but today it only goes till 3. So if you're watching along here on our stream, YouTube, Fox Local, or a Fast Channel, and you're thinking, this looks like a lot of fun and I've got to get out and see this, you have until 3 today.
Yeah. Yeah, get the show on the road, people.
Well, speaking of it, Caitlin, I'm going to get the streaming experience back on the road. We're going to get over to meteorologist Alex Forbes, but Caitlin, you know we're coming back to you because this is great. So we're going to see you again a little bit later on in the stream. For now, though, you guys, I'm going to bring it back and take you to our studio where Alex Forbes, our meteorologist, is patiently standing by. Alex, we're hearing rave reviews about the weather this morning. Care to elaborate?
Credit. There you go. How about that? 70 degrees and sunny here in Atlanta right now. 71 in Stone Mountain, 71 in Rockdale County, 70 over in Monroe, 66 in Winder. A little cooler still in Northwest Georgia, 61 in Cartersville, 62 in Rome, and over in Cedartown at this hour. And that's the general trend across the state, right? Warmer south and east, cooler north and west. Clayton at 63, 59 still in Blue Ridge, and 62 over in Rome. But now as we're warming up, we're not going to stop. We're going to find our way into the 80s here over the next little bit with a 20% chance of rain through the afternoon hours. Here's how it looks on that hour-by-hour forecast model. Through the noon hour, I expect to pick up some more cloud cover, but then this front going to lift up from the south, and as it does so, it's going to have some scattered showers along the mix. So a 20% chance of rain today is an 80% chance of staying dry, but even through the overnight, it would not surprise me to see, and into tomorrow morning, a couple of those showers lingering around. So could there be some wet bus stops in the morning? Yes, but most will not be wet on into the afternoon. Just a couple of scattered showers, and we'll do the same thing here on Tuesday, starting off dry with just a couple green blips here on the radar picture. Now, play this forward into the rest of the week. I think we'll have a more substantial rain chance by the time we get to Friday. First, you saw all those green splotches all over North Georgia. That's your 20% chance of rain each day. But by Friday, this organized band of rain moves in, and that's going to be our next cold front. And I would say air quotes around the cold part, right? It's not necessarily going to bring Antarctica, but it is going to drop our temperatures a couple degrees, a little closer to average for this time of year. As for today, our average high is 77. I expect to make it to 81 in Atlanta, Sandy Springs, Alpharetta, 83 in Riverdale. Vale and down in Jonesboro, 81 in Villa Rica, and 82 in Dallas. Down on the south side, this is where we're going to mix in some mid-80s, 84 in Monticello and in Thomaston, 83 in Noonan this afternoon, and 83 in McDonough. Up on the north side, some 70s hanging on by a needle. 76 in Cornelia, 78 in Dahlonega and in Blairsville, 74 in Clayton, 80 over in Ellijay, 82 in Canton, 80 in Cumming, 80 in Buchanan, and 81 in Athens here for your Sunday afternoon. Here's your Fox 5 Storm Team 7-day forecast. So a 20% chance of rain tomorrow, 20% on Tuesday with some more clouds on Tuesday. And then as we look towards the back half of the week, there's that front, a 40% chance of storms with it. The reason why that's at 40% and not like 100% is because it's still several days out, which means the timing can fluctuate. So we'll keep a close eye on it. Ariel, you also asked about severe weather earlier, and I mentioned that there's nothing jumping out at me about this system that's like raising alarm bells, but it's something we're going to watch, right? Getting into the first couple days of May, and it's something that we watch in North Georgia, and we'll be doing that towards the end of the week.
Alex, we'll definitely stay tuned. I do have one question before I let you go, which is, how do you expect the humidity to start increasing around this time? I feel like when I'm walking out, it's the air is just starting to feel a little heavier and clammier than usual.
Right. So we have high pressure situated to the north of us right now, which is actually what's switching around our wind direction to come out of the east. And the big Atlantic Ocean is to the east of us, so it is going to usher in some Atlantic moisture. But here's the thing, it's not going to rise to summertime levels. A lot of the time in the summer times we get a southerly wind off the Gulf of Mexico. That air is usually a lot more humid because there's less land for it to travel over before it makes it here to North Georgia. So I would say this, about what we have right now is what we're going to keep for the rest of the week.
Okay, good. I like that answer. Thank you, Alex. Well, you guys, it is about time to take a quick break. So we're going to do that. When we come back, we're going to go through some news headlines of your Sunday morning, catch you up to speed. And then we're going to check in again at 11:30 with Caitlin, see how Inman Park Festival's doing. So we'll see you back here after the Welcome back. I'm Ariel Onstadt. Thank you so much for streaming with me. Let's go through some news headlines of your Sunday morning so you're up to speed. Atlanta Streets Alive is a big event happening today, and it's going to close down Peachtree Street. So if Peachtree in Midtown is part of your morning commute, you're going to want to pay attention to this because that road will be closed. And it's going to be closed between Alabama Street and 15th Street. It's the first Streets Alive event of the year, and if you're not familiar, this shuts down a street for hours, creating a safe, car-free community for walkers, runners, bikers, and skaters. Because it is National Pet Parent Day, there'll actually be a pet enrichment station. Today's event runs from 2 to 6 p.m. and it will be the first of 5 Streets Alive events this summer. So if you are looking for something to get out and do today, this is happening this afternoon. Another story that we are following, developing, has been happening since yesterday. We want to continue to keep you updated on this. 2 police officers, or rather sheriff's deputies, were shot near Augusta. And I want to bring you video now of the scene so you can see what this looked like as it unfolded. One of the sheriff's deputies is dead, and we're learning that another is in critical condition. It started as a traffic stop, but then it transitioned into a shootout. You can see officers there and paramedics. It happened yesterday evening on I-20 near exit 196 in Columbia County. There was a huge police response, and people nearby described a deluge of gunfire. Let's listen to what some of the bystanders had to say.
We were hearing the shots going off on, and then it went silent for a good bit, and then we heard like 5 or 6 more shots go off, and then it just went completely silent, and the cops telling us get back, that, they didn't know what was really going on at the moment, just an active shooter to get in the building. And so we stayed in there for a good bit, but then, we didn't hear no more shots, so we thought it was okay to come out.
Well, the suspect was identified as James Blank Montgomery. He took off in an RV or camper, and right now there is a manhunt underway for him. So as we learn more information about this story, we'll continue to keep you updated. Something else to let you know about, there was a major drug bust in DeKalb County. Take a look at your screen. You can see what police were able to recover. They arrested 6 people from this, seizing 50 pounds of marijuana, multiple guns, and money. The DeKalb Narcotics Task Force says they executed search warrants targeting a drug trafficking organization operating in and around South DeKalb. And as you can see from your screen, this is what they were able to recover from that. Another story we're following is an update on a teenager who was hit by a reckless driver. That teenager is recovering right now, but this happened as the car was doing stunts in a parking lot. It happened late Friday night in the parking lot of the Westside Plaza. Police say the teen, identified as Jeremias Escalante Perez from Virginia, was watching a silver Infiniti G35. You can see that on your screen from these screen grabs. That Infiniti was doing donuts when the driver crashed into that teen. He was then dragged by the car as the driver attempted to get away. No arrest has been made, but police say they did find this car, and we're told they've identified a person of interest, but have not yet released a name. Also a big story this week, the Supreme Court, U.S. Supreme Court, will hear an Atlanta family's case that could change how the FBI operates. According to a lawsuit, armed federal agents threw a flash grenade into Trina Martin's home and pointed guns at her and her fiance back in 2017. You're seeing body camera video from this incident. It all happened while Martin's 7-year-old son was inside screaming from another room, and the family says the FBI interrogated them before agents realized they'd raided the wrong house. Well, Martin sued the agency, the FBI, saying she suffered monetary damage and loss of wages due to trauma from the event. Let's listen to what she has to say.
At the time I was a track coach, and I had to give that up just because the trauma from the grenade bomb, every time at the starting line, when they shot the gun off for the runners to start, it would send me through a frenzy.
Well, as we know, a federal judge in Atlanta dismissed Martin's case back in 2022, but the Supreme Court decided to take the case up earlier this year. We know justices will determine what circumstances people can sue federal law enforcement and the federal government in an effort to hold law enforcement accountable, and they're going to decide what that would look like. Oral arguments in this case are expected to begin on Tuesday. And in international news, at least 25 people are dead and nearly 1,000 others are hurt after a port explosion in Iran. The blast happened in the country's largest commercial port near the southern city of Bandar Abbas. It blew out windows and destroyed cars, and officials say the blast was reportedly linked to a shipment of a chemical ingredient used to make missile propellant. It was reportedly going to be used to replenish Iran's missile stocks. And the White House and President Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine says that a recent meeting between President Trump and Zelensky was productive. The two spoke yesterday after Pope Francis's funeral. It was their first face-to-face meeting since the explosive argument at the White House in February. Zelensky says their latest meeting went well. We'll continue to keep you updated on this. Let's go ahead and listen to what Zelensky has to say.
Really, really bad. productive meeting. I don't want to go to a lot of details if it's possible because the questions were sensitive questions.
Well, that's some of your headlines for your Sunday morning. Of course, as President Trump and Zelensky continue their talks, we'll continue to keep you updated. For now, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break. And when we come back, I have an interview for you guys. And we'll be talking a little bit more with a man from South Georgia about how he's trying to trade his way out of debt, student loan debt, and into freedom. We'll discuss that coming up in the next 2 minutes. Well, welcome back. I'm Ariel Onstad. Thank you so much for streaming with me. Whether you're here on Fox Local, YouTube, or joining us by way of a FAST channel, it's great to have you here. I was able to catch up with a man from South Georgia about a new passion of his. Imagine trying to trade your way out of debt. That's exactly what he's trying to do. A lot of us deal with crushing student loan debt. And Jake Croft from Valdosta, Georgia, started to think about what it would look like if he could trade his way out of that. So we caught up. Let's take a listen.
Welcome back. I have Jake Croft here. And Jake, you have a pretty interesting story. You're doing something that I think a lot of people wish they could do or maybe have thought about doing, but aren't sure how to get started. And you're making yourself a master tradesman to get out of student loan debt. Can you tell me a little bit about your story and how you got started with this?
Yeah, absolutely. So, to get out of student loan debt, which I have a considerable amount of, I went to college to become a chiropractor, and I graduated in December of 2019 and opened my practice in February of 2020, which was 2 weeks before COVID. And chiropractic's putting your hands on people, right? So those first 6 to 8 months were pretty wild. So I had to pivot, and I went into teaching, and I love teaching, but teaching is unlikely to ever get me out of this amount of student loan debt, which is just over $219,000. So I was trying to think of what are the ways I could approach this. And I remember hearing and reading about the story of Kyle McDonald, who traded up from a red paperclip all the way to a house in 2005. And I was like, man, I wonder if I could do this. Obviously not for a house, but possibly to be able to pay off the student loans at the end of it. So I started a project on TikTok that I just call the Trading for Freedom Project. My little intro, almost every video is trading for freedom from student loan debt for the nobility of my future and that of my family. And it has garnered a little bit of an audience.
I can imagine a lot of people relate to the idea of wanting to be free from debt, right? And wanting to be free from that hanging over them. Can you explain? You were inspired by Kyle McDonald, who traded his way up, which his story is unique in of itself. Can you tell me how you overcame that first fear? What did you first trade, and how did you initially get started?
Yeah. So the past 5 years that I've been weighed down, um, almost debilitatingly so, by this amount of debt, I've found myself not wanting to speak about it or talk about it or think about it, out of sight, out of mind. And so I figured that if I was ever going to be successful in attempting to rid myself of it, I had to be willing to just kind of talk about it freely and talk about it, I think, in a public light. So I created a TikTok account for it, and I just started speaking. There's stigmas around student loan debt and debt in general, but I was just completely open, or as open as I could be. And I let, at that point, no one, because no one was following the project, I let no one know how much debt I was in and then what I was trying to do. The item that I started with was just a used massage gun that I had, probably worth around $150. And in the beginning, I did attempt to go to websites like eBay and OfferUp and Facebook Marketplace and things like that, but none of those had a bartering or trading option. I was forced to sell the item, which goes against the principle of the project, right? So all of my trades so far have come organically from TikTok. Believe it or not, from the app. I was creating these videos, talking about what I'm trying to do, talking about what the current trade is. And I had people message me, say, hey, I'll trade you this for that, or I'll trade you that for this. And that's how it started.
Incredible. So you started with a massage gun. What did you trade it for, and what have you traded up to now?
Yeah, absolutely. So started with that used massage gun. I traded that for an iPad. I traded the iPad for a Versace watch. And now I have traded the Versace watch for a complete wedding venue package at the Hilltop Memory Maker venue in Coral, Michigan, actually. Far away from Georgia, but that's where we're at.
And Jake, I got a little ahead of myself because I do want to let people know you're actually from Georgia. You're
Yes.
from South Georgia. So can you tell me a little bit about where you're from here in our state?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm from Valdosta, which is small, or not really small anymore. Down right, almost close to the Florida line, just a few miles from the Florida line. And I was born and raised here. I went to undergrad at Valdosta State University, and then went off for Cairo College and came right back. So this is home for me.
Incredible to think that you have traded something all the way up to something in Michigan,
Yeah.
and now you're trying to get to the next step. So what are you looking to trade for next? You say you have like a wedding package in Michigan that you're trying to negotiate into the next thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So whenever I have someone message me and wanting to propose a trade or asking, the question I get a lot is, what are you trying to trade for? My answer is always, just because of what the project is, anything of higher value. And that may sound strange. I've had a couple of people push back on that. That may sound strange for the other person that's trading, but I always think that beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Someone may have something sitting in the corner of their closet that they don't care about that's worth $20,000, and then there's something else that's worth $10,000 that they really want. They'd be willing to trade the thing they don't care about, even if it has a higher ticket value. So I always just say something of higher value. Now, ideally, right now, with it being in Michigan, something small enough to ship would be beautiful. Because I've had people offer me a boat, but it's 25 hours away one way, and that's just not something that I can go get right now. But to answer your original question, anything of higher value than that package, which is $6,450 right now.
That makes sense. I do think about often how nice would it be if we were able to maybe barter and trade a little bit more, because so often we may have something sitting in the back of our closet or, our shed. We're not using that trimmer anymore. We're not using that lawnmower anymore. Maybe we'd like to have something else, and you never know what value exists in something, but for someone else, if it doesn't hold value for you. So, what are the next steps? I know that you are trying to get to that next trade, and then you're also looking at ultimately getting yourself out of that student loan debt. I guess I'm more thinking about just what has been the response to this on social media. Do you feel like other people are saying, oh, I'm going to go start doing this myself now? Do you feel like you've inspired other people to think a little differently about trading?
I hope so, and just to be completely transparent with you, the trading for me started with this project.
Yeah.
But I do think that the concept of trade, like you mentioned, the concept of trading and bartering, I think should be brought back. I think it's a really neat concept. If you ever get the itch to have something new, instead of going and buying it, maybe see if there's something that you have that someone else might have a desire for, and you could meet up and trade the two. I've got a pretty strong positive response on social media. Honestly, it's a story. It's a story that people want to follow. When I see things like this, when I see someone working towards a goal that's a long ways away, I like to kind of tag on and follow and see how they're doing and see what it ends up with. And this is I think one of those stories that people kind of want to follow along with. So I've had a pretty strong positive response. I've had a lot of people want to participate and propose trades and stuff. And so I'm very grateful for the audience. And yes, ultimately the goal is to trade up to something. I know that $219,000 is a long way away, but trade up to something of value that I could sell and use to pay off those loans for sure.
It's amazing. I think definitely the power of social media to unite people and to find new things and find opportunities is incredible. So I have no doubt you'll be well on your way. Anything else you want to share that I haven't asked you yet?
I'll make one comment. I will make one comment. I was not able to, and it's in response to something you said earlier. You said you wish that we could more easily trade and barter with people. I did not know about this, what I'm about to tell you, until a couple of weeks ago. I wish that I had known about it at the beginning of the project. It's not, wedding venues are not common things to be traded. Mm-hmm. So it's not working perfectly for that. But I told you that Facebook Marketplace and eBay and OfferUp and all those places, those online marketplaces, didn't have a bartering or trading option. A couple of weeks ago, I found out about an app called Zaya, and it is exclusively trading. It is like an online marketplace. I know they're really small. I think they're in a couple of cities right now, like Denver and Miami. But it is an online marketplace that is exclusively for bartering and trading. There's no money involved. Again, I wish I had known about it at the beginning, but that might be, if people are interested in the concept of trading, might be something that they can check out. And just as much as this project for me is about trading, it's also about, just opening up the opportunity for people to more freely discuss debt, specifically student loan debt. In our time right now, there's so many people that are, again, debilitatingly affected by it, including myself. So allowing that to be a commonplace thing, at least in my conversations on that account, I think is important to me.
Yeah, you do touch on something that I think a lot of us relate to, which is there is a lot of stigma around money and just this idea of debt, right? And how, there's different types of debt, and the type of debt you take on when you go to school, you take on because you hope it's going to benefit you down the line. You think that, hey, right, this investment and this debt I'm taking on is ultimately going to pay off for me. I will be able to pay it off with the job I'm taking or whatever's happening. But few of us could predict a global pandemic. Few of us could predict life-shaping seismic events that have happened to our world really in just like the past 5 years. Right. And so when you boil all of that down, life throws curveballs your way and it throws punches. And, it's how do we respond to this? How do we get back up and try to be creative, try to find new ways, being resourceful, problem solving. And you found the power of TikTok to try to help you do that. So Jake, it's been great talking with you. I wish you all the success in your ventures. Best of luck to you and your family. Thanks for joining us, and I'm sure we'll see you again.
With a fairy tale-like setting and a genteel atmosphere where generations of Atlantans have celebrated milestone events, you think Burgers with Buck, right? Well, you may very well after this. All right, this week, Burgers with Buck, we are in Buckhead. Looks a little fancier than usual, doesn't it? Yeah, we are at the Swan Coach House in Buckhead. I'm hanging out with Marion. How you doing, man?
Hey, buddy, how's it going?
Going pretty well. So I got to tell you, I grew up in Atlanta, so when I think of this place, and I've heard about it my whole life from mom and sisters and my daughter, it seems like a place where you host a lot of bridal showers and maybe baby showers, a lot of